this structure in the Minuwangal area in Maniyangama Viharakanda in Dehiyovita was introduced as a community hall. However, the government purchased this 2-acre plot of land for 1.8 million rupees in 2010 in order to relocate 15 families who were displaced owing to landslides. The Dehiyovita Divisional Secretariat took measures to distribute this land amongst the 15 families. It is in this backdrop, and at a time when the provincial councils do not possess land powers, that a Sabaragamuwa provincial councillor intervened to select plots of land for the 15 families in a bid to fulfill his petty objectives. According to the mechanism used by the councillor to allocate land, certain families were provided lands that were not suitable to construct houses but for quarrying.
I have 2 children. It is difficult to build a house here because there is no room to build a house.
A plot of land allocated to this displaced individual by the Divisional Secretariat 3 years ago was used to construct a community hall for which the provincial councillor obtained a sum of more than 4.5 million rupees from the central government, and the provincial council is mentioned in this report sent by the chairman of the Dehiyovita Pradeshya Sabha to the Dehiyovita Divisional Secretary. However, this community hall is now occupied by a monk.
There are several problems that have cropped up because of this place. The division amongst the villagers, the monks and the blame being placed on the temple are huge problems. I think a grave injustice has been caused to the villagers. It is impossible to build a house owing to the failure to provide suitable land.
This letter sent by the Dehiyovita Divisional Secretary to the Kegol District Secretary states that a temple was forcibly constructed by the provincial councillor in place of a community hall. Constructing places for monks to reside will certainly be beneficial to them. However, doesn't the grabbing of land allocated to a homeless person and the cunning use of public funds to construct a temple amount to blatant misuse of power? Governor of the Sabaragamuwa province, this is over to you.
Moving on to some business news now, Sri Lanka's trade deficit, or the gap between imports and exports, has increased by a whopping 180% in comparison with the same period last year. The latest data released by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka shows that export earnings declined by 4.9% in October this year, while import expenditure increased by 41.4% in the same period.
As per the latest data released by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka on foreign trade, Sri Lanka's export earnings in October 2011 amounted to 882.2 million rupees. Import expenditure for the month amounted to 1,751 million rupees. Accordingly, the trade deficit for the month was 868.9 million rupees. The data reveals that the main factor behind the reduction in export earnings was the reduction in earnings from tea exports. Imports of petroleum products, vehicles, textiles, machinery and construction material have contributed to the import bill. While the growth in export earnings for the first 10 months of 2011 was 23.4%, the increase in import expenditure for the same period was 50.7%. The data released by the central bank reveals that when compared to the same period last year, Sri Lanka's trade deficit increased by 100%.
Good evening. It's time now to take a look at some sports news. Chanaka Velagedara and Rangan Herath ripped through the South African batting lineup on day 2 of the second test between Sri Lanka and South Africa in Durban. Batting in their second innings, Sri Lanka was 7 runs for the loss of 1 wicket at stumps on day 2.
Sri Lanka resumed day 2 on an overnight score of 289 for the loss of 7 wickets, with Thilan Samaravira and Rangan Herath at the crease. Samaravira, who batted brilliantly on day 1, continued his good form with the bat as he went on to score his 13th test century.
Absolutely terrific from Samaravira. This has been a quality knock. It has been the backbone. It's now in test cricket.
However, debutant Merchant Delang prevented Sri Lanka from building on this as he bagged the last 3 Sri Lankan wickets for just 3 runs. Samaravira was the pick of the Sri Lankan batsman, top scoring with 102. Delang bagged 7 wickets for 81 in 23.2 overs for the Proteas. Following the turnaround, the Sri Lankan fast bowlers gave the South Africans a taste of their own medicine. South Africa were 27 runs for the loss of 3 wickets at one stage.
Edged and gone. There's an edge and another wicket. Comfortably taken at second slip. There's a cursory glance.
However, Hashim Amla and AB de Villiers put on a 4th wicket partnership of 76 runs. De Villiers was then dismissed by Belagedara for 25. Amla followed him soon after for 54 runs. The South African middle order collapsed as they lost 3 quick wickets in the space of 2 overs. South Africa were ultimately bundled out for 168 runs in their first innings.
Got him. That's him.
Belagedara was the pick of the Lankan bowlers, bagging 5 wickets.
Superb for Sri Lanka. South Africa 168 all out.
And that's a look at your primetime news bulletin for today. Of course, don't forget to log on to www.newsfirst.lk for the very latest of the world around you. I'm Shen Silva.
And I'm Mahina Bongs. It was a pleasure having you with us here as always. We'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, take care and good night.